So yeah, again, welcome to today's topic. We're going to talk about putting together the multifamily dream team. I think this kind of also applies to real estate in general. So if you're doing smaller multifamily or even single family stuff, I think a lot of these categories fit that as well. So I gave you permission to share. Kim put
Yep.
together a very brief PowerPoint. We're going to bucket it into maybe if I think we put 8 categories. I started to think about this in terms of categories instead of just a rolling list. So take it away, Kim. We'll
Yep. So
let
we
you
kind of
have
broke
it.
it down kind of in order, kind of not in order. So we're looking first at deal flow. So when you're looking at deal flow, also, I want everybody to know if you have something that you want to add, please jump in. No need to do in the chat, any of that kind of stuff. This is a learning for all of us. We don't want to just kind of talk, and we'd love to hear what you have to say as well. So we're looking at broker, your network, and a wholesaler, kind of the big high level lists on that deal flow. Greg, you want to say why you need all of those things?
Well, I mean, brokers have the deals, generally speaking, especially if you're just getting into it or started or going into a new market. Probably your best bet is going to be broker relationships because they have the deal flow. So it could be as easy as getting a Google search and looking at commercial brokers in your area and getting on the mailing list and get some deal flow just sent to you automatically. Um, if you're in the residential space, I think the same thing applies. The search might be a little less broad, um, and you can maybe just go to the MLS and find the people that are doing um, smaller multifamily or single family if you're in that. So I think that's kind of where it starts. It's not giving away any secrets there, but the brokers have the deals. So start making those relationships beyond just getting on their email list. I certainly recommend getting on the phone and calling these people and chatting about uh, what kind of deals you're into. That'll help them box in their deal flow to your specifications. And I think they also appreciate something beyond just send me all your good deals.
Yeah, I've heard that multiple times, that they
Yeah.
would rather have it be what you're actually looking for, that lends you a level of credibility and just legitness. If you're like, no, I'm looking for
Yeah.
this specific thing, that helps them realize that you kind of know your deal a little bit.
Yeah. And the network, what I mean by that is things like this is getting on calls with people, in-person networking at your local RIA, LinkedIn. There's multiple Zoom meetings that are going on there that I've joined over the past few months. Um, Inevitably, there are deals that brokers don't have and are being passed around. And Darren and I do it all the time. We're like, I'm not really interested in Texas, but occasionally we see something and we know that I don't know, can't remember where Frederico is investing, but if I know, hey, Frederico is interested in that market in Texas, I'll just bring it to his attention. So this is a very, I think, giving industry among investors willing to share information and networks. So just the more touches you have with more people, the better off you're going to be. Um,
And
and
again, I think that goes back to also being kind of specific in what you're looking for. If you let people know what you're looking for, just like you're letting the brokers know what you're looking for, you'll get those people that are looking for you. Like, we know that people that are looking in Texas, so we know to send them those things that aren't coming our way. People know where we are, so they send things that are coming our way. So again, communicating clearly with the people that you're networking with.
yeah, and wholesalers are great. We still do some flips transactionally. A lot of times, just speaking from what our main super active guy is posting, he's still getting the occasional, under 4 unit type thing. Are you letting people in, or am I? Are you?
I've got it.
Okay, thanks. So if you've got a wholesaler in your market, they want nothing but people on their buyers list. So, and some of the more savvy ones are delivering that stuff right to your phone, and you can very quickly get a look at a deal. Be prepared to act fast, but they are doing a heck of a lot of work for you. We have tried to, shake deals out of the trees a little bit. It's a lot of work. We've had very limited success with it. If you can find a wholesaler that's doing that as their business and they're good at it, get on their list. You'll see a lot more deal flow.
I would add direct marketing here, whether it's
Yeah.
cold calling, direct mail, or texting, or even knocking on someone's door, which we know people that have had success. And back to Kim's point about in your network with other investors, like once you've been in the space long enough, have created relationships with other investors, not only do you know where they invest or where they are, you find out, oh, Federico doesn't like heavy distressed value add properties. He just wants to barely touch it, whatever that is. He likes A class. When you get specific like that, a lot of times you'll get opportunities sent to you to partner, which ups your deal flow as well. And that's happened to us recently, 2 or 3 times actually. And so that's just another thing to think about. People really know where you want to be and what exactly type of asset you want. It can increase your opportunity.
Yeah, just as sidebar, like the texting, we were on a call last night, or I was on a call last night, and a colleague is doing the text campaign. The cost of that stuff has come, I don't know what it ever was, quite honestly, but he said, hey, it's 4 cents for 140 characters or something like that. It is very inexpensive. And you pay that through some kind of carrier. Dan, if you have any additional things to add to this quick conversation, I'd appreciate it. But, he went back and forth with the seller, a potential seller that initially said no, and then came back around and said, well, I actually have some vacant land if you're interested in that. And it, he might have been into it for 4 conversations, cost him a quarter. And, compared to letters, which are, pushing, I don't know, $1.80 or something like that.
Yeah, and like a 2 or 4%. I've heard through people that are using this technique, specifically texting. This is through one source, that his response rate, just the response rate, is 40%. That's not his close rate, but that's his response rate. And if you compare that to direct mail, he's doing something right.
Right. Yeah. It's we've sent a shit ton of SMS messages, and one of the things that you just have to be careful of is you have to make sure that you segment your list properly, because if you're sending them to the wrong people, then you might get in trouble. And then there's the problem that people put themselves on the do not call list, and then they forget that they put their own number on the do not call list. And so you end up contacting them, even though, you're just doing what you were told. But, whose problem is it really? So it's one of those things where, you just have to be really careful with it. But I set up an automated system for webinars so that it would automatically send you a text reminder, which was one problem we had with our evergreen webinars. So in other words, whenever you arrive, it makes it sound like, oh, we just happen to be having a sale right now. What a coincidence.
Shocking.
Now is the best time to buy.
Right. And as a matter of fact, you've got 2 hours and 46 seconds left. and so buy now, that sort of thing. And with those sorts of systems, they don't really integrate text messaging systems, so I had to custom code one. So that's where my background is on that kind of stuff.
Yeah, and I think you back me up on this, Dan, and other people that have tried to do direct mail. It's a system, and it takes a lot of follow through, and it takes multiple touches because we've done the one and done where we sent out a bunch of letters, and then quite honestly, we never did very good with the follow up. So the old marketing adage is that somebody's got to touch you 7 times before they might engage with you in any real way. That's not a literal thing. Um, so the consistency in direct marketing or text, and it can be tiered. You start with a letter, and then you can send a text that says, "Hey, I recently sent you a postcard. I'm just wondering if we can have a conversation." Blah blah blah. But we're going down a rabbit hole of direct
I was
mail
just going to
now.
say, so we're talking about like creating your dream team.
Yeah.
So you can take this portion of it as part of your dream team, right? So finding that person or those systems or apps that will help you with your deal flow, right? So that's kind of a part of your team, right? For that first section.
Yeah,
here,
and
the deal flow.
we'll end this section with this. Brokers, I think, are one of the best options because obviously they have the deals, but also it depends on what size you're looking at, but they are also going to be giving you a lot of market information, a lot of comp information that you can start to compile, and you just save those OMs and you can revisit that information, and it'll help you just learn the market a lot more. Yeah, they do a ton of work for you when it comes to market research. And take some of it with a grain of salt. I mean, you want to go and look at their comps and make sure that they're good, but a good OM, man, I like that.
All right, so the next bucket that we created is lending. So the members of your team from lending, we're looking at mortgage brokers, community banks, credit unions, an agency lender, and either hard or private money. So lots of different ways to fund your deal. You want to go ahead and
I think that's pretty self-explanatory.
straightforward.
I would keep in mind with mortgage brokers, try not to use multiple mortgage brokers at the same time because you may find that they're fishing deals to the same people, and there can be some mud on your face for inadvertently shopping deals against brokers. So if you have a good quality mortgage broker that can push to a bunch of sources, having direct relationships with community banks and credit unions is a more straight line. That's great for smaller market type stuff where you may not get the attention from a regional bank for whatever reason. So that's probably a one-on-one relationship with whoever's in charge of the credit department. Go have lunch with them. We've done it multiple times. It's usually a lot of fun, and oftentimes they pay for it. You'll find slightly different debt terms between banks and credit unions. They're pretty similar, but I've heard a lot of good things about credit unions lately. Full disclosure, we haven't used them. I know one of the big upsides is they often don't have a prepayment penalty. The agency lender, if you're not familiar with that, that is the GSEs. What's a GSE? I can't remember. Government sponsored entity. That's your Freddie Mac and Fannie Mae. So that's more for the typically larger, more stabilized multifamily assets with purchase prices of roughly $1 million or more. I think some programs go down to purchase prices of maybe $750,000 through Freddie. But that may be something that you have some bleed over from your mortgage broker, but oftentimes they might be like Lument or Arbor, where their main thing is agency lending, and then they also might have some other products that they can pull from if it doesn't quite hit the bar for agency debt. And hard private money, that can be a great option. It could be an expensive option, but hey, if the numbers work and somebody can make 12% and 2 points off of you and you can still make money, I don't see a problem with that personally. Um, they're lurking around these meetups, so go out and meet them there. We had one at the meetup that Kim was at last night that we've transacted with, just a local guy. So, yeah, I mean, any comments on lending, anyone?
How do you, wait, let's, before we leave,
Oh,
Leanie, how do
sure.
you find these people?
Most of our relationships have been like referrals. That's probably one of the best ways to get introduced to people. If somebody's transacted with a lender or the vice president of credit at the local bank, and you can get an introduction through them and piggyback on some credibility from somebody else that they've done business with. They're like, hey, this is a good guy. You may not know him, but I'm kind of vouching for him. I think that's the best way. LinkedIn is great. I think I haven't done much locally, but I think with LinkedIn, you can drill down a little more regionally with some search that can maybe quicken the process if you don't have a referral. And then, occasionally I think they're very locally, they'll be at the local chamber of commerce type meetings and stuff like that you can go to. But I would say referrals is probably your one of the best ways.
Anybody want to add how they found their special lender friends?
I would just echo the same thing that was already said as far as using referrals to get started, and then refer business back to them as well. If you like them and they've done well for you, be sure that you're sending your friends and others towards them, and be honest with your friends. Hey, so-and-so is slow to respond, but when you get him, hey, he does a really good job, or he's unconventional, he's flexible, whatever. Be honest and genuine in your experience both ways, and that lends a lot of credibility to you as well.
Yeah,
super
exactly.
good point.
Yep.
Great point.
Excellent. All right, zipping right along, we're going to talk about your legal team. So there are several parts of the legal team. You need a real estate attorney. So it's great if Cousin Jim is an attorney. It's even better if Cousin Jim actually is a real estate attorney. There are some tricky bits and some ins and outs that it absolutely helps to have someone who is specialized at this point. Also, you'll need an SEC attorney if you want to syndicate any of your deals. And this SEC attorney is specially trained to create the documents that you will need in order to stay in everyone's good graces and make sure that you're covered as well as your investors are covered. Moving after you acquire the property and are running it, you'll probably, unfortunately, need an eviction attorney. Again, having someone who is specialized in this region may or may not, it may not be the same attorney for all three items, and that's okay. We have different attorneys for different needs, just like you go to a different doctor for a different specialty. So it's perfectly understandable and reasonable that that's something that you would do. Additionally, you'll need a title and escrow company to help make sure that the closing moves along as it should.
Yeah, and this is all referrals. Again, I think the sourcing for a lot of this stuff is the same as lending. Find somebody that's been happy with somebody else that they've transacted with and try and get an introduction. Some of these may not be necessary if you're doing like the sub 4 unit residential. I think, I wouldn't necessarily say that you need a real estate attorney for buying a 4 unit. The real estate brokers can handle that with the regular, National Association of Realtor type contracts. And a lot of times, title and escrow may not be something that you can choose, depending upon which side of the transaction you're on. And again, well, That's really it. You don't always have that choice. The eviction attorney, you'll know when you need one. I quite honestly, we don't really have one that we have on hand. It's through our third party manager. So that's not necessarily a card that we have, attached to the refrigerator with a magnet or anything. But I do recommend that you actually do use an eviction attorney though. For like Kim said, there's specializations for a reason. So.
And what kind of things do you look for in these professionals?
Someone that communicates
Yeah.
on a regular basis without being prompted.
Yeah, that's a lot of it. I don't necessarily say we don't really shop on price for this stuff. We bake it into the deal. We know what it's going to cost now, having done it a few times, and it's just part of the acquisition cost and the raise. And quite honestly, it's not that big of a number that it moves the needle in terms of returns. So I'm more than happy to pay somebody so that I don't have to be a part-time attorney in addition to everything else that we need to figure out in this business. So yeah, communication is key. Very simple things like date memorandums, like you go under contract and you have all these dates associated with escrow money and the end of due diligence and when your title objection time ends. Hopefully they are kicking out a date memorandum which just spells all that stuff out, and you drop it into your calendars 2 days before it actually happens, so you're not having surprises.
And that's crucially important when you're running a full-time business like we are. You're running asset management for your existing properties. You're dealing with closing 2 or 3 deals, selling another one, flipping a few houses. That is so huge, and just it's like the extra step, if you will. And you get these reminders. Our attorney's wonderful, and we've done a ton of business with her, and we'll continue. So as we continue to build, we want to do it. We love repeat business with the same people. If that relationship stays as it should.
Absolutely. Is there any other legal bits that people would like to throw out there? Aside from that, we're not attorneys and this is not meant to be any sort of legal advice at all.
That's the last thing this is. Yeah.
All right, so
No, I don't think so. Unfortunately, it takes a transaction or two to find out if it's going to be a good relationship. So hopefully you get into one and you're happy and you don't have to move around that much. I think that's just the way it is. So you can't really obviously get on calls with these people and have a Zoom meeting and have some engagement before you're asking them to put a contract together for you. And that, maybe some just very specifically to keep in mind is when you're getting close to a contract, just make sure that your attorney's available.
right.
You don't want to do an LOI that says we're going to turn this PSA around in 3 days to find out your attorney is in Guatemala ziplining for the next 10 days. So age people as getting to putting pen to paper and asking people to sign stuff to make sure that you can deliver on your promises.
Yep.
Are we moving on? What's the other bucket behind the, I can't see because.
The last
all your
bucket on this slide is
faces.
property management. So that is a property manager or property management software if you choose to do it yourself, a contractor, and an insurance broker. Darren, you want to take this one?
Am I on? Can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. I was just actually thinking about insurance broker and didn't see it there. You know, let's say at this point between legal and property management, with the exception of the eviction attorney, we've actually bought a property. The only one that we didn't have in there would be, there may be a few more, but property inspector as you're purchasing the building. We have one that we love.
You're jumping ahead, Darren.
I'm sorry. Is there another page?
There's another page.
Yeah.
You guys see who prepares this, right? So anyway, property management can break you if you allow it to. I guess my comment is it's your business and you have to run it like it's your business, and you don't just allow it to be ran because it's been ran that way for years with a specific company. So I'm just encouraging you to make sure that you have what you need through a property management company. Contractors can also make you or break you. With the climate out there now of how busy everyone is with just that industry, no matter what field you're in, electrician, plumbing, flooring, painting, roofing, framing, it does not matter. You got to stay on top of these people and have someone you can trust to get things done in a timely manner. And getting things done in a timely manner now is extremely hard just with the way things are. Insurance broker, we do have an insurance broker that we have used and have used more than once, but I think that's another thing that we found we're having to shop around for just because of competition.
And communication. That's the other thing. Is you're under contract.
It's huge.
You're starting to burn the clock. I mean,
correct.
People need to get back to you. You need to firm up your assumptions and plug them into your magical spreadsheet and make sure things are still tracking to where you think this thing is going to land. After a couple of times of somebody not being very responsive, especially when you are asking very pointed questions and giving them all the information they need to give you a quote. It's no longer like, hey, how you doing? How's the insurance industry looking? Like, I need a quote on this deal. We're closing in 35 days. And 10 days later, you're sending an email out to remind them that they have something in your inbox. We've made some adjustments just based on that kind of stuff. And back to the property manager, if you're new to a market or whatever, talk to as many as you can. We had a podcast episode recording today. He brought up some great points. One of them that I left with was making sure that the kind of response and access that you want from a third-party manager is something that they're already doing. The example was, when they get a work order, he actually gets an email for every work order that comes in. And not every property manager is going to have their software set up that way. Some software probably just doesn't do it. But if you are an extremely active asset manager and you want, all kinds of information to a dashboard and be able to go around and snoop around your reports, make sure that they're using software that allows that. And if you're going to try and ask for something that they're not already doing, once you're getting going with them, good luck. I don't think you're going to get it anytime soon. So be sure you're getting the package of services and access that you want before you sign that property management agreement, because a lot of times you're on the hook for 12 months anyway.
That goes for property management software as well. Make sure that you research your property. If you choose to self-manage and you're going with property management software, make sure that it has all the bells and whistles that you need or would like for it to have. There are loads out there. They all have free trials. You will have to talk to a salesperson a couple, 3 times, but being comfortable with saying, no, this isn't going to work for us, and here's why, and they appreciate that as well.
Yeah, because we've been looking at vertical integration for a little while now. So we've had multiple calls with multiple property, mainly Kim actually, because she's kind of doing the vetting process on this. But hopefully they have a demo. Like, hey, here's a dummy property that you have a free trial to mess with this stuff for 7 days. Because I would not want to be in a position where you're closing on a deal and you're still trying to figure out who your property manager is, because you just, anytime that you're having to make a quick decision, I would say you're not necessarily positioning yourself to make the best decision. One more thing about insurance brokers. Yeah, trying to maybe stick with one. You don't want to have multiple brokers because they're just going to Berkshire Hathaway or Allstate or whoever. You don't want multiple quote requests coming across somebody's desk with the same property address. Nobody appreciates that.
All right, on to the last sheet. So we're jumping over to some tax and accounting pieces. Oops. Oh my goodness, this is so embarrassing.
Oh
sorry.
my goodness, Kim.
I didn't update this particular bit. What
That's
it's
all right, we
supposed
can
to
make it
say, what it's supposed to say is a CPA, accountant, and cost segregation, not a broker, network, and wholesaler. Because
Now
that's
everyone
just,
knows
that's
you're human.
just
Oh
a repeat.
my gosh.
Yeah,
So,
you're human.
I'm embarrassed. I'm sorry.
So yeah, tax and accounting. My view on this,
Communication.
yeah, that's another, yeah, no doubt. That's another professional service that I don't want to dabble in. I'm more than happy to pay somebody to do it. And we write it into the deal. So your property manager or your management software itself, if you're self-managing, is probably going to do 90+% of your bookkeeping if it's set up right, and your CPA may ask you to make some adjustments or ask your property manager to make some adjustments for tax purposes. So you may or may not need a bookkeeper. Kind of your call. I think that most of the bookkeeping side of it is done with software or a third-party manager. I think it's handy if you are doing some level of bookkeeping that it's also your CPA, so you don't have property management, then a bookkeeper, and then another relationship with your CPA. I think if you can go from property management to your CPA, that might do some light bookkeeping and then do your final taxes. Just seems like a straighter line. Yeah, and communication is key. At this point, I'm like, I just tell my tax account, just extend my taxes. I know I'm not going to get my K1s in time. I mean, I'll have that conversation in January, so I'm not having to rush around. For whatever reason, K1s are often delayed. For whatever reason. Maybe I'm going off on a tangent because I'm irritated by it more than anything. But but yeah,
Why is it so
communication
hard?
is key. Hopefully, you're talking to them quarterly at least, and they're helping you out on an ongoing basis instead of once a year. So, and again, that's a referral thing. The one we use now, we got on referral. The cost segregation person we use now, we got on referral. So yeah, just talk to people, see who they're happy with.
Any questions or additions anybody wants to make on the tax accounting questions?
No, I mean, I would just add some of them it doesn't necessarily, if you're investing in multiple states, you could probably have the same CPA and tax attorney. You might want to double check with your current CPA if you're expanding your investing radius to make sure that they can handle whatever you're doing.
Cool. So then we jump over to education being part of your multifamily dream team. And these would include things like a mentor or a coach, your online community, books that you read, podcasts that you listen to, any other online resources that you use to grow your own head.
Yeah, and I think this is where a lot of that referral type stuff comes from, is from just the education and the networking from the deal flow side of it. I think there's a lot of overlap there. Again, pretty giving community. Every time I've asked something, I've gotten multiple choices to choose from. So just ask.
Mm-hmm. And it goes back and forth too. So in a lot of the groups that you're on, if you're only asking and never offering, it'll get thin for your responses. So you need to throw out some of your ideas occasionally as well. I think it can be intimidating sometimes to put your opinion out there. But I think that's an important way to get those solid. It's like Isaac was saying, you have to say the good and the bad, right? Give an honest review about something, and then that way you'll get that back.
Yep.
Anything to add here? All right, we'll jump on to Darren's section since he wanted to be here earlier. So these are the vendors that once you're running your property, even if you have third-party management, these are the people that you need. So it would be the inspector, and then it is also contractor services, because Greg did not want to list out every single contract service that would be necessary. Again, even if, we have third-party management and we have a landscaper that we call on, we have some handy people that we reach out to help cover some of the things that they can't, make it move faster. So Darren, anyone else you would like to add to this particular list?
Well, contractor services runs a gamut, such as pest control, lawn care, you sort of alluded to. And then, if you do rely on third-party management, you hope that generally they have a crew or crews that can physically turn units for you when you're trying to bump rents $100, $150. Sometimes you're redoing the flooring, painting cabinets, fixtures, appliances, etc. And they get so busy that you've got to have outside contractors that you yourself deal with. And so we've found you've got to be able to utilize both. And you've got to have a couple handymen that just do odd job type stuff for you, like clean your gutters and build decks and things of that nature. And that all goes back to relationships, just keeping those guys close to you, guys or gals, and taking care of them. So
Yeah, and I would add, have some of them in duplicate. HVAC is a great one.
Mm-hmm.
People are extremely busy. If you got 2 or 3 to pull from, if you have some kind of emergency that needs to be taken care of, it's nice to have multiple people in a Rolodex. If you don't know what a Rolodex is, Google it. And we do kind of have duplicates for most of them. And it does, even with third-party management, if you can supplement some of the stuff that they may be backlogged on, because it's going to happen. You're part of a larger pool of properties that they are managing. Sometimes, you just have to wait for your number to be called, was an analogy that we used recently.
Another.
You'd be like, oh, you guys can't get to it till Tuesday or next Tuesday. Let me see if I can get somebody and like, hey, yeah, my guy's going out Thursday. Call off your guy. We got it taken care of. It can save you a lot of time and headache.
Another big one that we like to have in our back pocket for reliability is someone to just clean a unit after it's been remodeled, or a clean out or a clean up. If someone leaves an apartment in great condition, one of the two, it's either a construction clean or it's just a regular clean. A lot of times those people are in-house with third-party management and they can't handle the volume that needs to be done. So that's someone else that we
and the trash out.
Yeah, the
trash
demo.
out, a trash out person. Because sometimes people leave things in their apartment after they move out.
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys know that or not, but occasionally it happens.
But this is where we get to refer. So when you find these people and they do a good job at a reasonable price and they show up on time, keep them as busy as you possibly can, because you want them to have a viable business. You want them to be able to employ people, because we all benefit from a contractor that is profitable and good at their job. You know, for as much crap as they get, they are absolutely vital to what we do. So when somebody does a good job, try and keep them busy, because unfortunately, you know, unless you got a ton, you know, big portfolio, rarely I think will you be at the point where you can bring on, you know, a GC full time. They're going to bounce around a little bit. So if you've got a lag in what you can have them doing, I'm sure there's somebody in your local area meetup that would be more than happy to have a proficient, honest, performing contractor. Dan, are you going to say something dramatic? I saw you messing with your camera there. Are you just making sure it's working?
I'm making sure that my little banner on the bottom is in the right spot, same proportion from when I go from just normal talking to extremely intense talking and then back again.
You sure you don't want to tell us a joke?
That's a joke, by the way. But
always good for a laugh. Appreciate it, Dan.
Absolutely.
So yeah, the nice to haves. This is something that I wouldn't necessarily say everybody will need. It might be circumstantial, depending upon what's going on. But yeah, a boots on the ground. Even if you're half a day's away, if you've got somebody locally that can pick up some slack and meet a contractor for you, that is super handy. Hopefully it's your property manager if you have third-party management, but you know, somebody that you can call on, and maybe you even have to compensate them a little. That's very handy. A photographer, you know, you might just look, oh, there is marketing there. Yeah, a photographer and marketing. Phones do a really good job, but a well-staged apartment for marketing purposes, I think, does a better job. So if you have somebody maybe from a lot of realtors will have this referral for you. Somebody to do some light staging and take professional photos. Man, if you rehab an apartment, you got that Repros gray paint, and you know, everything is just popping, and you do some light staging, you can get a lot of mileage out of that for marketing.
What do you mean light staging?
Light staging, usually it's not, it doesn't, you don't have to put furniture into place. You can do that virtually a little bit now. What we usually do is for the bathrooms, you have a shower curtain, you have a placemat, you might have some knick-knacky type things on the countertops, usually some silk plants or something like that. In the kitchen, Kim, you're going to have to help me out with this, you know.
Sure, that was mean. I should have just explained what it is. So light staging is where you go in and you do just a few little things. So you would put in a shower curtain, a mat, not usually a mat, shower curtain, some towels, a little bit of soap, maybe a little plant, a fake plant. If there's a lot of the properties that we have, there's no lamp in the main living, or no ceiling light in the main living room. So we bought a lamp. We bought a floor lamp. We put the floor lamp. It's got a little table, a couple of knickknacks, just something to make it, to help people's imaginations of what it can look like rather than just plain. And also, this is my giant pet peeve, make sure the toilet lids are down. I don't know why, but they are always up on these pictures and it drives me crazy. So little things like that. I was gonna say a smelly, like a plug-in thing, but that's not for pictures. So that's for when you're actually having people in the apartment. But yeah, you don't need furniture. You don't need pictures on the wall, just real simple. And we keep it in a tub in the storage. And when we need to stage it, we pull it out, we set it up, we pack it up, put it away.
Yeah. And then maybe a VA. So depending upon where you are in your career, you might be running out of time. So some of this stuff that you're doing that absolutely still needs to be done, but can be systematized and passed on to somebody that can follow a checklist. a virtual assistant of some kind can take quite a bit of work off your plate at a very reasonable price. We'll say it again, Darren. We're looking at that, and that seems to be all we do with it is look at it. But
Gotta pull the.
yeah,
do
we
it.
got to figure it out.
Yeah.
I guess Dan, you might be able to speak to this a little bit too if you're still there.
Yeah, staring at it doesn't make it any bigger.
No, or
And,
get us closer to it.
it can be a little bit of a trial and error. That's what I was actually going for, Dan, that it might
Right.
take a couple of VAs
A couple
before
of
you
tries.
find
So-
the right one.
Yeah.
Right.
But-
So I used some for some one pagers that we were making. The first one, I didn't like them so much. So I used somebody else for the next one. That's kind of the nice thing about a VA is that you can switch them easier, I think.
Yeah,
Until
it's
you find
kinda
the one
like,
that you
you know,
like. And then you're like, oh, I like this one.
like a bike analogy or something, or once you get that thing moving and it's going at a reasonable speed, it'll stay upright. But most of the effort is just getting the thing going. So I think
Right.
that's kind of what a lot of the stuff with VAs is. You know,
It's-
some upfront work for a big payoff.
It's just another category in our business of someone's already doing it. You just need to go repeat it. And we just need to do it. So
All right. I'm going to move to the next slide because this slide is embarrassing that I did it wrong. So we're just
Yeah,
going to go
there's-
to, I know. So I'm
yeah.
going to say
Oh,
thank you. Yay. And then we can all stop sharing. All right.
Hey, Francesca, how are you?
I'm great. I'm so sorry I'm late. I wanted to get here on time.
That's
Well,
It's
okay.
recorded.
We recorded it, so
Okay, perfect.
yeah.
We said up front, well, you know, she's going to be late. You better record the darn thing.
Yeah.
Now you'll have to
Or
watch the
anyway.
recording to see if that's true. So I think that is a lot of members of a team. That's a big team. You don't use all of them every time. But is there anything that we forgot?
How could we have possibly forgot anything? I'm sure there is.
I don't know.
Well, the good news is like when you get a deal, this is all going to happen because it has to happen anyway. You're going to end up with a real estate attorney. You're going to end up with a property manager. So a lot of these are self-fulfilling just by being in this business. It's going to happen one way or the other. I guess the point is, you know, some of this can be a little more proactive than others, and you can get that stuff set up so that you can focus on just getting through due diligence and closing a deal, and then, you know, just handing it over to the relationship that you've already
Yeah.
established. That's kind of the holy grail of keeping kind of this stuff in mind. Some of it can happen after the fact, you know. A cost seg guy, you know, you don't need a cost segregation guy before you buy something. Some of those.
That's the beauty of once you've done one, is that you start to do repeat business with some of these people, and they know what to expect from you and vice versa. And it just makes it easier and less time consuming and less stressful.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And cost.
That's it. That's what we got.
Good job.
Well done.
Thanks, Dad. My dad's in the house. Trying to figure out what the hell Greg's doing over there in Tennessee.
That's right. Now I know he does these video conferences.
Yeah, right. Yeah, we'll keep you entertained for hours on end, Dad.
I don't know who's paying him for that, because just saying, if that's all he's doing.
Can you just
Wow.
go and like and subscribe to everything
Oh,
that we
there's
put out?
Mom. Look, there's
Oh,
your
hey,
mom.
Mom. Didn't mean to
Hi.
leave you out of the deal there.
Well, I had gotten this spam email, and it turned out it was you.
It was something that that Mom signed you up for. Yeah, I'll take it.
We're so desperate for liking
I'm
subscribers.
watching. I'm going to see if you unsubscribe.
Funny.
Well,
Does anybody have
we
anything
did a
like
good
to
job.
add
We
or
came
share?
in at an hour,
Just
even
about.
with some tangents and me going on.
Good job, Kim.
Thank you.
Thank you guys for sharing and for the invitation. I was just going to add that if you're local, if you're involved in your local RIA and you're meeting people and you're doing referrals and everything, just remember not all referrals are created equal and not all investors are the same. Everybody has different strategies. So I made the mistake of taking a referral and running with it for a property manager for my first property. And what I should have done was gone to see my friend's properties first and tried to get understandable what the standard was. And I ended up firing the property manager later. So it's one of those that if you have the time, do the effort up front. You understand what they're referring from and what their strategy is and make sure that it aligns with yours, because they could be a really good investor and a really good friend, but that doesn't mean that you guys are going down the same road or that their vendors are going to be a good fit for you.
That's a great point. Wow. Good. Yeah. Nice.
Yeah. What is it? Doesn't matter. I can't remember. Inspect what you expect. Something like that. Yeah. Okay.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Inspect the uninspected or something.
As well.
There you go. They both sound really good.
Absolutely.
If you had done the multiple camera angles, Dan, on that one, it would have sounded even better. Yeah, like that.
Whoa.
This is what we got from Dan on our very first meeting from him as well. That's all good.
That's good.
Let's hear some soundboard to take us out. Excellent.
All right.
All right. Does anybody want to end on like something that good that happened? We asked earlier, and Isaac.
Yeah, who's got a big win this week or anything else going on? Nicole, how are you, sister? Come on, speak up.
Hey, sorry. I was looking for the link and I was like, where the heck is this thing? And I'm like, missed the whole entire talk. Oh my
It got recorded. No worries.
Smacking my forehead. But yeah, I'm doing good. I definitely will watch the recording. Sorry.
No worries.
How are you guys doing? Talk about
Good.
the win.
Yep, a win. You got a big win you want to share?
Oh, man. I mean, I guess just we get into vacant units that are, unfortunately vacant at the same time. Should be getting finished rehab by the end of next week. So then hopefully we get some tenants in quickly. I just saw an article that Allentown is one of the top small cities that actually has like the highest occupancy rates. So hoping that means that won't be vacant for long.
Awesome.
Good job. Excellent.
Thank you.
Oh, we got one of our flips under contract. That's a win, right?
That's a big win.
Yeah.
Yay.
Yeah, that's
Woohoo.
nice. All right. Well, cool. Thank you all for showing up. We do
Our
this.
next one
thank you, Kim.
is going to be live in person at Mellow Mushroom
So
in
we'll
Johnson
see you all
City,
there.
Tennessee. And we will be having a community bank there. Our next online one will be, wait, I thought I had it. I think it's a 1031.
August 17th.
It'll be,
1031
we'll be
exchange
speaking about 1031
specialist.
exchange specialist will be speaking.
Not us. So tell your friends. We have an actual
specialist
coming online to do a webinar, and this is what he does for a living. So
yeah. So that's August 17th is our next online. So that I just got the info today. So that'll be created and thrown out here in the next day or so.
Good. Cool. We need that one.
Yeah. Everybody wants to know about 1031.
Yeah.
For sure.
All right.
Okay,
It's time to eat ice cream, everybody. Right, Dad?
No, first I have to have dinner. It's only 5 o'clock here.
You're retired. Do whatever the hell you want.
I'll have ice cream as an appetizer.
There you go. Right on. Eat dessert first, right? All right. You guys all have a good night.
All right, everybody. Thanks for joining.
Thanks for
Have a
joining
great
us.
night.